There's no getting away from it. We're now living in the age of social media, and business is no exception. Learning how to harness this platform can be a valuable marketing tool. However, in the wrong hands, it can also result in a PR nightmare. With me to discuss the do's and don'ts for social media is social media trainer and commentator Zoe Cairns. Well, Zoe, we all know the obvious, of course. For a business and indeed an employee, you have to be careful about what you put out there, especially on Facebook, Twitter, no drunken photos, that sort of thing. But it does help to add a little bit of colour to what you post online to make yourself stand out. But you do also have to be careful. We saw with the police, of course, in their helicopters tweeting that they saw the renowned comedian, and that wasn't taken very well. So for a company or a professional, how can they put things out on social media in a way to make themselves stand out, but also in a careful way that makes them still look professional?
It's really about providing the content that our audience want to see, something that they're really engaging with right now, looking at trending topics, but in a positive sense. So making sure that they don't get involved in negativity, controversial stuff, political and religious stuff as well.
Well, Twitter is actually quite a tricky one because you talk about negative feedback, but I think there's an issue with Twitter that you have to build a following. And I think if somebody comes to a company's Twitter feed and they see they only have sort of 10 followers, they're not really going to be impressed by that. But you can't, there's no other way to get followers than build them up. So what do you suggest when it comes to this?
But it's not all about the quantity of followers, it's about the quality of the people following us. But some people, like to see that a company has got a big following. And when you first start out, it is a little bit difficult to build that following up because you're trying to build that online presence and awareness. So what we suggest to people is they go and find their target audience first. They go and start to follow their target audience. Hopefully they then see the presence of that company, they see that they're actually trying to engage with their audience, and then they reciprocate and follow back. Never ever buy followers. There's people out there that say I can get you 1,000 followers for $5. These are people that are not going to be within your target audience. So when you do start to share content, people are not going to share it because they're not interested in what you're talking about.
Well, that was going to be my next question, actually, because you can buy followers, and it is rather tempting because it is quite prestigious to have that K at the end of the number of followers you have, so it's not a good idea.
It's not about how many followers we've got, because I started following everyone and randomly, and then I then thought, hang on a minute, why am I following these people? These are not going to be the people that are going to buy my product or use my service or engage with me. Now, it's better to have 5 key centres of influence that follow you, that share your message to the masses, because if it comes from them, they've got more credibility, that when it goes to that audience, they're actually going to value that message more before they know you.
Of course, you don't want to end up looking desperate, do
No,
you?
you don't.
So to put your message out there, you can sometimes feel in the social media world like a drop in the ocean. How do you get retweets? How do you get to be a trend? You see it at the side on Twitter. How can you be that person who gets that one tweet and it goes viral?
It's about really being creative with your content. So we can all actually post a bit of news out there that can be very, I would say, dull or mild. It's very out there. It's just the same as everyone else's. But what about putting a bit of a twist on that bit of content, putting your own opinion, making sure that it is positive, and adding a bit of humour to it? Talk about these key centres of influence a lot. This is when I really saw my social media really escalate, when I connected with 5 key people who had a big following that I could actually build rapport with and say, look, when I post this out, would you mind resharing it for me? And I had that agreement with them in the background. I didn't say please retweet and get that out there. When they started to share, it was then going to a bigger audience, which would then actually reciprocate and share it too. So it's about thinking strategically with it, but creating content that will really just add a nice bit of humour, that's positive, and that is in with the trends.
Of course, there is the temptation to put a hashtag before every single word, and also maybe be a little bit controversial and sort of criticise, comments and do that sort of thing on Twitter. Is that a good idea for a professional or a company?
If you're opinionated and you start putting opinions out there, the people that are following you might actually disagree with you, and you can actually turn quite a big of your following base away from that and attract people that will come back and comment that will actually attract negative and more negative. So when you have got opinions, do make sure that you phrase them in a way that it's coming across as though you're very neutral in what you're saying.
And one last question, staying on the theme of Twitter, and how do you get that coveted blue tick?
If you are a key person of influence, tweet at Twitter UK and ask them to see if you can be verified. And if they do feel that you're the type of person to be verified, they will make you verified.
And for a company, can they do the same?
Company the same, especially if you're a recognised brand, of course, yeah.
Because I feel like it can also be a little bit detrimental if you are a legitimate brand and you don't have the blue tick. It makes people doubt you almost when they go to your social media page.
I totally agree. Now with Facebook, it's become more easy because what they've done for brands and companies is that if you verify your address of where you are and you verify a mobile or a telephone number of your landline, they will give you a tick.
Well, you mentioned Facebook. Now, this was predominantly for recreational use, but it is becoming more and more used for business. So how do you think companies should approach this?
Facebook is more for your business to consumer audience, where you're selling to the end person. There's not much business to business conversations going on. So if you are business to consumer, I would recommend using Facebook. It's become more sophisticated with the Facebook advertising. You can really drill down to your target audience. So when using Facebook, I would use it in a way that you're getting to the end user, you're getting your message across, but people don't really like the advertising if you're trying to sell. Give away content, get people into your funnel, get people into where you might have an email marketing campaign where you can then get them into an email newsletter and then sell your products and services that way by giving really good content and information.
And onto LinkedIn, can this be used by companies or is this purely a way to sell yourself as a professional?
If you imagine your goals and your objectives of what you really want to achieve for your business and the types of people that you really need to be in touch with, LinkedIn, you can get to that decision maker. It's brilliant. So if you have a LinkedIn strategy of the types of people you want to be in touch with, LinkedIn Advanced Search will allow you to get to that key person. I think it's a great way to build your network and use your current connections. I think they say there's 6 degrees of separation, that you know someone that knows someone.
Well, finally, we're all humans. We're all capable of putting something out there that's a little bit stupid and can be taken the wrong way. So if you do tweet something, post something on Facebook that gets a backlash and is a PR nightmare, how do you capitalise on this? Is all publicity good publicity, as they say?
So you need to think about what you're going to respond with, because sometimes we just want to go back and bite back, and that's the worst thing to do. So as a company, you need to make sure you've got a crisis management procedure of how you deal with this negative stuff. So how do you go back? I always say to people, take it offline. Take the conversation offline. Don't have a debate online which is going to actually show your other clients, your other audience, how you're engaging within this argument or this debate that you're having with this client. And then go back online and say this is now all been resolved. Hopefully this is now can be closed down and your issue's been resolved.
So maybe it's about apologising or just owning up to it.
Yeah, of course, always own up. Remember, the client's always right, and just say, look, we apologise. We will be back with you back to you shortly with a response. Take it offline, resolve it, and then go back online to show your other audience that you have resolved the issue.